Okay, O hanno you Pol Hodge, mi a drig in Lambrigan Veen, Penhala, August the Porth Piran, ag un laver a droth him. Cernuic or V. I learned English because I was brought up in it, and I learned Cernuic. That's it. We tried learning German because brother-in-law and his family live over there, but we weren't very good. It's fairly phonetic.
Yeah, that's true.
So I like its logicality. Ooh, Govin Callas, difficult question. I don't know. It just happens. I do a lot of translation work, so it's like trying to carry a dictionary, a translation dictionary, and a thesaurus in English and Cornish around in your head. So I don't know. It's just a muddled thing, but the process does not work without coffee. Gorbollock. Gorbollek. It's a state of being, of genius, one step before madness. I can't answer that because if I come across an ugly, clunky word, I would come up with an alternative. For example, I don't know. That's a classic one. The Cornish word for short is bear, B-E-R-R, bear. Right. Okay, but there's no natural rhyme word. It's a bit like orange in English. So I'd replace it with cot, which means short or brief. Okay. So it's not so much ugly, clunky words. It's the avoiding things that are difficult to make a rhyme with, especially if you're asked to translate a poem or a song. So they're all beautiful. We have certain words like Gorsedh, but then that's the same as Welsh Gorsedh and Breton Gorsedh. We have a word hireth, which is that sort of longing to be at home type of thing, but the Welsh have a very similar thing. It's really funny because a lot of words are sort of built into the land, if that makes any sense. The Cornish word for river is Avon, but we don't have any place names in Cornwall with Avon because we don't have any rivers. Oh, no rivers? No, we have streams that run into the sea, and if they're on the north coast, they run into hales, which is why you've got Hale, Eglos Hale, and Tywern Hale. And if they go into the south, then they run into lochs. And everyone goes, oh yeah, like Loch Ness and Loch Ness and all. No. As somebody pointed out to me, I had a woman who was a lecturer in geology. The lochs in loch is a ria, a flooded river valley, but the lochs in Cornwall they're not glacial. So they're not fjords. They're not like the lochs you get in or the sheiks in Wales or the lochs in Scotland. because they are the flooded river valleys are cut by streams or rivers. Yeah, there's subtleties in words,
Okay.
but they're very much built into the place names. Yeah, so there's other ones that are quite sort of crucial as well, where the word in Cornish is slightly different to what it is in Welsh. Cantrev, 100 trevs. Well, our setup, we have County Penwith, Kerrier, Pidershire, Powdershire, Trigshire and Withielshire, the counties of Cornwall, but they're made up of 200s. So to call Penwith, Kerrier, Pidershire, Powdershire, Withielshire and Trigshire, to call them hundreds is wrong because they're double hundreds. Yeah, it's more about the misuse of words in Welsh and misuse of words in English, and trying to apply them to Cornish words. And we're only now finding the self-confidence to say, well, hang on, a cantrev in Cornwall is different to a cantrev in Wales. Well, it's the history tied up. It's a hidden history tied up. And the thing is, you can't ignore it or erase it because it's all on the map.
Right.
When I was small, I used to go down my nan's down at Mornan, and sometimes I would see my great aunt there who spoke Cornish. In fact, she was the coroner in the Cornish Gorsedh. So I sort of heard it and knew about it. Anyway, fast forward to when I go up to London to do chemical engineering, and I had the heareth really bad, and I found this, or bumped into this old Irish bloke called Thomas O'Shelvick, who said, young Paul, I apologise for the accent, young Paul, he says, you're not a proper Celt, are you? Because you do not speak your Celtic language. And I thought, I'm 200 miles away from home, I don't like it here, where the hell am I going to learn Cornish to? And he said, here is a leaflet for the city lit, go and join the Cornish class. And I went along, and there was all these other people making similar noises and learning Cornish, and that's how I got into the language. You're exposed to all these linguistic treasures when you're a little kid and you don't realise it. And then when you grow up and realise they are treasures, you can't recall them. Oh, the grammar.
Right.
Because I don't, I'm not an arts, humanities-based person. I did sciences at A-level, chemical engineering at South Bank Poly, and did a PGCE in science. My English is not too good, and my grammar is not good. But my speciality at the moment seems to be low register film scripts. And because I've taught Cornish for coming on for 40 years, I sort of know the phrases that are common around. So I'll rather than stick exclusively to the source language, which is quite in translation, which is quite often English, I will throw in an idiomatic phrase and avoid grammar.
Okay.
Oh, I quite like Bram and Gaff, which is found in the texts. It's a mild expletive. It means fart of the cat. Bram and gath, and it's sort of people. I've seen people translate it as fiddlesticks because it's not too, it's sort of bram and gath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Bram is a fart, an is the, and the Cornish word for cat is cath, but it's feminine, so it gets mutated. One thing I do love about Cornuic is the mutation, because it's what makes Cornish a Celtic language. And a Celtic language is not to be defined by the marketing men of Lorient Festival. Ooh, bit of controversy there. This is sort of difficult because everyone has a sort of origin story. I think mine was I met a guy who wrote a very long poem, and I translated it for him, and realised I kept the rhyme, so sort of smudged the English meaning a little bit, but kept the rhyme there. And the core bit of that, little bit in the middle, I actually wrote in Cornish, and then got the English writer to I translated it for him, and then he versified the English. I thought, this is ridiculous. I started writing stuff. I was in a trio called Barthar Noeth Cornuic. We went to Glastonbury. We performed at Glastonbury. Before you get really excited, it was in the Poets' Tent. Yeah, that was ages ago. We did a tour in Kent called Celts in Kent, where we partnered up with an amazing Manx singer called Emma Christian, who played whistle, mainly harp, and sang in Manx. I've got to say, I'm not musical at all. Anyway, right, so that was good. The darker side is one of Barthar Noeth Cornuic actually got done for plagiarism. And so me and Bert Biscoe formed Deuvarth, which is Cornish for two bards. And I've done nearly 500 gigs where I've done Cornish language poetry. I don't believe me, I could furnish you with a list, because people go, you're just bullshitting. But no. We formed in '97. So what are we talking about? Quarter of a century. We've done nearly 500 gigs. Not together. So, I've done 500. Bert's done probably a little bit more. Our bread and butter stuff is the old Cornwall societies, and that's really interesting because it's sort of you can do poems about a place in Cornish, and if you sprinkle it with place names and trade names, then they will come and go, I understood that. I got a bit of a bug for it because it's great to actually, you've got something to say, and then you do it, and then you get a chance to actually read a translation, and you say, oh well, it uses a lot in translation, which is a bit of a cop-out, but there's a sort of freedom there. It's difficult to say, really. Film is interesting because, again, I wrote a poem called Peneglos on Stennick, Cathedral of the Tin Ground, about a particular stack at Troon, Fortescue, which contained the second largest cylinder in Cornwall. Anyway, that's by the by. The engine's been. Have you been to see some of the stacks? No. Mine houses, right? They've usually stopped working, and the engine's been taken out for scrap. They've taken away the beam, so it's just like a big granite shell, which is really, really heavily built to stop the vibration, which is why the chimney, the stack bit, is attached to the house. Right. So I climbed into this thing, and a really good filmmaker called Bill Scott filmed me in black and white. I don't know why, but filmed me reading this poem, and then put English subtitles underneath. Martha Star. That was such a, not having to bother with the translation, and sort of realised that film is God's gift to the Cornish language, because people are looking at just scanning the subtitles to get the meaning, but the language goes straight into the ears.
Right.
Yeah, and you just can't. It takes up more of your concentration. I was involved in, helped make a film called Huero Hueg, which was the first and so far only feature film in the Cornish language, with the great Cornish Hungarian Antal Kovacs. And Antal was this is back in 2000, and a bit of a force of nature. He speaks something like 4 or 5 languages, and I don't know how. Well, he was chatting to the producer, Paul Farmer, who said that I translate things and do poetry and all. Right? Okay. So he said, okay, translate the whole lot into Cornish. No bother, because it's low register stuff, cool. So we made 2 films. One was called Bittersweet in English, and the Cornish version was called Huero Hueg, and we shot them back to back. So we worked out a method in that we would do the scene in English first, and Antal would say, no, I want you more angry, or I want you scared, and right, okay, and then we would do it in Cornish. Some actors took to it. In fact, there was one of them I remember. She was a BBC Radio Cornwall presenter who was fluent in Swedish. And she'd learnt her lines, and we had to make her slow down because she was making everyone else look daft. So some actors didn't take to it. So we had all kinds of things. We had little tricks that we learned, like we'd hold up idiot boards. So you would read it because I couldn't remember it. And I would check each line then for, now, can we do that again, but the emphasis should be on this word. Right. So we bashed away at that. Another little trick is to do something as in Bittersweet, there were 2 people sitting on a bench, and they were side by side, and one of them just couldn't get her lines. So we ended up shooting it real long shot away. Sort of, I think we were in the spring sometimes, so there was like these amazing rhododendrons and camellias out. Camellias, sorry. So they were tiny, so they were far away. You couldn't see that they were talking to each other. And then we had the actors to read off the script and then put the sound back on, which is very interesting because that's what Mark Jenkins, our BAFTA-winning film bard, that's the method he uses. But it's these little tricks. So you can take a bunch of really good actors, and if they're phased in any way by the Cornish, we can adapt the way to do it. Anyway, the film, the bittersweet. Ooh, it's underwritten. All right, there's not enough to keep your attention there. So bittersweet flopped. It was an art house film that didn't do anything. But Wheroweg, the Cornish language version, we premiered it in the Houses of Parliament, and we had a couple of Plaid Cymru MPs come in, and they were amazed. We don't need the subtitles. Yeah, so that was amazing. But it got showed at, in Seoul,
Right.
In Korea, the Tribeca Film Festival in New York. It got showed at the Celtic Film Festival in Belfast, and then the year following in Brittany. So it's a bit rough, but it was, you know, we shot 2 feature-length films in 27 days.
Wow.
We were absolutely knackered.
Can
The
imagine.
money ran out halfway through, so we didn't. We all did it on deferment.
Right.
So again, this is a classic thing where we bit off more than we could chew. We saw it through, but in the end, nobody got paid.
Okay.
So yeah, and I worked for the translation service, and just now we've got like a little pool of actors that are not phased about doing anything in Cornish at all. They just do their trade. And the BBC left Cornish off of its charter, so they acknowledged Welsh, Scots Gaelic, and Gaelic, and there were 1 or 2 films up on iPlayer, but they wouldn't put Cornish on there. So our politicians said, "Oi, why isn't Cornish on there? That's ridiculous." We're recognised under the European Charter of Regional Minority Languages. The language is also recognised under the Framework Convention for the Protection of National Minorities. Why is the BBC Charter not saying Cornish exists even? And they said, "Oh, well, you haven't got any films, have you?" Because, and it's, hang on.
Hang on.
So we've now got 4 films up on iPlayer in the
Cool.
Cornish language,
Very cool.
and I'm not sure if the BBC have relented or not, but that's an appalling bit of thing to deliberately leave off and then be reminded and then resist putting Cornish on there.
Yeah, right.
I mean, people in Cornwall do pay their licence fees. We have every right for our language to be acknowledged,
Absolutely.
at least.
Yeah. Do you have an?
I carry around bits of paper and a pen all the time. So I'll see something and then write a few words and then type it up, polish it. Then I might translate it. And, well, if it's any good, I'll so I'll take these out. What happened was, that's, when did all this start? Yeah. This is my reading copy, so it is not good. So that is the first solo bilingual poetry book. There's been the old collections before, so that was 1997. So, yeah, that's cool. Me and Bert, Dave Varth, I did that one, which is quite. Well, my mother spoke quite a bit of dialect, and that was one of her expressions, otter and a bitch mackerel. So we Yes. That's the latest one I've done, the Zen of Mutation, which is cool. So if they're any good, they might find their way into a book.
Right.
What I find liberating about this is sometimes I'll make them rhyme, and sometimes I won't. I don't want to be like, I did something about the legend of Tamara,
Right.
how the River Tamar was formed when Tamara, the earth spirit, met the two wrestling giants, Tau and Tavi, which you probably know about. So that's a myth. That sort of needs. What does it need? It's sort of. Well, I talked about Englanes before, so the opening bit of that is Cerno, Downans, Invro, Geltic, Cos Pup Dane, O Pradenic, a Wasbos Tam, Kins Cernoic. The Foe Winlay, Floza, Dro, Grenny Moors, the Lecho and Vro, Warren Algio, Emat Gogo. So that's an example of Englanes, but rhyming, but sometimes I quite like not rhyming things, because there's I just think some people that write poetry in Cornish, they've got to make it rhyme so that when they translate it, it doesn't rhyme, to prove that they've written it in Cernuic in the first place. Because what people always say is, "Oh, did you write that in English first?" And I've got beyond that sort of paranoia. One of my favourites is Tus lib, tus tau, tus heb ober, Stodorion vahosic a benenes gans flehes trosic, tus koth, tus trist, tus vetho, calorion gernuic, a benenes fesquith a whizic, ha me, arach chimeras and kitrin. Wet people, fat people, unemployed people, poor students, and women with noisy kids. Old people, sad people, pissed up people, Cornish losers, and women so knackered and sweaty. And me do catch the bus. So people, there's no rhyme in there, and people are all ready to have a go at me for being misogynistic and anti-Cornish or whatever, but it's a sort of state of affairs. I don't know. I just think there's not enough art in Cornish, in Cernuic. We need more art in it, because what's the point of the language if it doesn't produce art?
100%.
And our sort of network of arts is very different to a big imperial language like French, Spanish, and English, of course. Very, very different. So our audiences won't necessarily be speaking Cornish speakers. So film is amazing because we can have subtitles. You've talked to experts like Fiona and people like that do music, because you can do music in Cornwall. You can use the language for that, and we've got some top musicians. So it's very different. Very sort of different outlet. Probably the hardest thing is to get visual arts involved with the language,
Right,
and you've got
that's,
Sove here, Sove Berryman, who does that brilliantly. So we have got people that can actually, that are incredible producers and performers within every artistic sphere. Even down to the ordinalia, which is theatre. That's the hardest one of all to crack.
Right.
Well, I'm going to say this, Molly Biscoe, because she's not a fluent speaker, but she's got an incredible voice, plays the guitar. Molly is Bert's daughter, and I have translated a few things for her, and she just laps it up and makes it sound beautiful. If I try and sing, I no. We have very high standards in Cornwall with singing, because we've got the Methodist background, and we've got amazing choirs, and singing groups and pub groups and stuff. But some of them have quite a substantial bit of Cornish in their repertoire. It's difficult to say. I'm quite a fan of Ol and Gwella. They're a singing group up in Newquay.
Right.
And they just take Cornish and make it sound nice. It's a tricky thing, because I'm not too keen on the cult of celebrity, and I know that every film, every song, sort of requires quite a team of people, and sometimes the musical arrangement is just right, and that can really, you've written something fantastic in Cornish, and it sounds lovely, and the singer has learnt it and got the emphasis dead right, and all the. But if the musical thing isn't arranged properly, then it just doesn't work. And you've got a top poet coming in now.
Rumour has it, yeah.
Yes, people need to know that we are an oppressed minority. All the great stuff that you'll see at this festival, it's all organic, it's all homegrown. There's no money. We've got people, that are running on nothing, and that's the point. I've got nationalist Tourette's, in that if people use the C word with Cornwall, then I have to shout out something. I'm talking Cainty, and it's got me into real trouble before. Yes, I'll give you a list of. That was nationalist Tourette's is Sauve's term. Whenever people refer to Cornwall as a county, I usually shout out country, and then people laugh, and then it's not quite so funny when you point out that we have one general hospital, and sick people in the southeast of Cornwall have to pay to go over the bridge. We've got no prisons, and then people when we finish laughing that we're all saints. If your life goes off the rails, then you need the support of your friends and family, but you can't do that if you're exiled. So we have double punishment in Cornwall: the sentence itself and exile. Even the Isle of Man have got a prison. Come on. So there's all these different things, and you can talk about the lack of funding for roads, whatever. All this kind of stuff is because people don't. Cornwall's just a nice place to come on holiday.
Right.
No, we are so much more.
More than that, yeah.
And we're fighting against the concept of this southwest nonsense, or West Country.
Yeah.
Well, from my own circumstance, marry well. It's like I say, we live in a lovely house in a nice bit of Cornwall near Perranporth, not too close to the coast because it's full of bloody visitors, and it's all down to my wife. Yes, because we've got people like Taryn coming. It just sounds patronising, isn't it? But I'm so bloody old now
No.
that I just feel, yeah, we've come a hell of a long way. When I started writing and stuff, there was no internet, so like all the stuff. All the physical stuff, the books, that's good. But all the internet, all the online Yathan Werins, all the music sharing apps and stuff, that's all extra. We, because in media terms we've been suppressed, you just couldn't get, everything's southwest focused. We're a small country that's been swallowed whole, whereas bigger countries, they always try and split them up, don't they? Yeah, no, I'm you know, the next generation coming along are doing great things, and they've got all the tech savvy to make it work. But my advice is marry well. It always pays to learn something, and I would go back to and laver coth you laver gwir never a dos mas a davas ray here mis dain het tavas a golas dear.